David. All right. Welcome to Tell to Trevor, guys. I'm your host, Trevor Shelley, and today on my podcast, I have. Let me give yourself your introduction.
No, sorry. Cowboy James Hunter. Sorry, I was, a little slow. Snow got me cold and everything. It's snowing in Georgia, so that's kind of weird.
Hasn't hit North Carolina yet, so that's a plus.
Which is strange. Y'all usually get it before us.
Yeah, I think you guys are getting the after effect of the huge storm in Texas.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Because it hasn't been snowing all day, but I've been at work all day since 6 o'clock, and they decided to be smart people and throw me in the window checking out people, and I'm like, I'm gonna need like a winter coat, you guys. Like not a regular
Yeah,
coat that you can wear, but no hood and call it good. A actual winter coat.
yeah, like an actual winter. Yep. I got a couple of those when I lived in Wisconsin and Colorado. Yeah, you got to get that.
But it was more interesting. Every time we had a break between customers, I would always go back to the ovens because we had an oven for food and everything. So we're like, cool, great. Let me just throw my hands in the oven and just warm them up. And they're like, it's cold out, and I was
Yep,
like,
did that many a times in
it's
food
20.
service.
Exactly. All right.
Mm-hmm.
What's what sparked your interest in the professional wrestling industry?
What sparked my interest? All right. I watched it when I was a kid, probably 8, 9 years old. I wasn't in it like as soon as I was small. But when my parents divorced, I went back and forth from my parents' house, and my mom and my stepdad got into watching it again. Apparently, they watched it when they were kids, but I had not heard of it until then, so it was cool. And it was just like 90s, like late 90s, that kind of thing. So Stone Cold and The Rock and Kane and The Undertaker and all those characters were around. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, WWF at the time. That was pretty neat. Well, I didn't think I'd ever be a wrestler. I didn't think it would ever be a thing. I'm a skinny little kid, at the time, and I was probably about 14 or 15. And my mom called me and she's like, "You'll never believe what your stepdad did." And I was like, I don't know. And she's like, "You'll believe it when you see him." So I got there that weekend. He got out of the truck. He had shaved his head and he said he joined a wrestling school. And I was like, what? Like, I'm a 12, or 14-year-old kid, like a teenager, just flipping out. Like, this is so cool.
Yeah,
And the reality of it is he had joined a bunch of guys that had an indie promotion, and he was learning how to wrestle. But as a kid,
right.
man, I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. So I jumped on the bandwagon. I was like, how can I help? Like, what can I do? And back then they always need people to work in sound and run, equipment and stuff because wrestlers don't know how to do that. That's up to techie guys. And I was a techie guy, so I was like, all right, cool, I'll do that. Like I got sound, I got the book of CDs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that was my foot in the door. I went from there to production to ref to all that. But that was what repeated. It was like my dad got into, or my stepdad got into something really cool, and then I got into watching it and flipped from WWE to WCW. I was a more WCW fan. I loved luchadors and characters and everything like that, and it was pretty cool. So, but yeah, that was what sparked it. It was like a little rabbit hole that was real quick. That was probably a span of like 3 or 4 years that we went from like watching it to we were going and putting on like helping putting on shows in like 2001. So that was crazy.
Who were your wrestling mentors growing up?
Um, Watching on TV. Whoop, I didn't turn my ding thing off. Watching on TV, I will say I really idolize Jeff Hardy and the Hardy Boys and the different styles. Um, that's what I watched and learned from when I got into the business. I was fortunate to have a mentor named Dave Kerr. He was the Amazing Velvet. He did a did a couple different gimmicks here. He was in the South, but he was a true journeyman of his time. Like that term's thrown around a lot, but that man went everywhere and didn't care about titles or anything. He just went and put people over all over the place. He taught me that that was a really powerful position to have as far as like what kind of impact you can make on people. You don't have to
Yeah.
be the champion to make an impact on people. So that was really it. Like I followed a lot from him. He knew a lot of connections of people. I got to meet a lot of cool people through him. And when I got longer in wrestling, when I was at my 10 and like 15 years, um, I really started acting like him and going, all right, I need to start taking these guys that were 1, 2 years in and running them through an easy 8-minute match where they ain't got to do nothing and show them that they don't have to do nothing. Show them that the crowd is important and show them that the character is important more than just the flips. And that's still true today, man. Like it really is. But he was that guy, man. He was my mentor, and he passed away this past year. He helped us start PWE. Like that man meant a lot to me. Really did.
Um, what was your first wrestling match like?
My first wrestling match.
Yeah.
Sorry, you broke up. I didn't hear it.
Yeah, your first wrestling match. What was that like?
Okay. It was cool. So I got into wrestling, like I said, progressed. When I finally became a wrestler, my dad had started his own wrestling promotion, and my first match was the opening contest of that. It was under a mask. I was a kid. I didn't look like a wrestler at all. So I was like, all right, let's do something different. I was a big fan of luchadors, so I bought a luchador mask and I was like, I'll be a luchador. Like that's what I'll do. I'm just gonna lose anyway. That's the part of the story anyway. So I could just be whatever until I learn what my character is. And it was simple, man. We did like 4 or 5 moves. I didn't really know a lot. I got my butt kicked. The whole story, I was supposed to get hurt, hurt my knee. But it was really cool. It was outside in a parking lot at a Christian bookstore, which was the coolest location and weirdest location. That building's still there, but it's not still a Christian bookstore. But that building and that parking lot's still there. I still drive by it right here in Augusta, and I'm like, I wrestled my first match here like 25 years ago. Oh, I lost you. Oh, we lost Trevor. Lost Trevor. Oh, oh, there you go. He's back. Nope, having problems like I am. We're gonna take over. There we go.
All right, back to what you were saying before it cut us.
Nah, you're good, man. All right, where was I? I don't remember where exactly it was.
As I'm trying to put the phone back on the tripod.
All
There. All right, back
right,
to
I
what
talked
you were
about my
saying.
last. I talked about my first match. Talked about where it was, and then I think you were going to ask me something else, and I didn't get to that one.
Yes. What are your goals in the future of the wrestling business?
Goals personally, um, is to open up the school we've been trying to open up since this last year. That's a personal goal. I've been wanting to do a school for a long time. I've been teaching kids. I can't say that I've been, you know, graduating no one or anything, but I've been teaching young people in the business over the last 5 to 6 years, and I find enjoyment in it. I really think that's something that, even though we have a ton of schools and we have a ton of places that you can learn, I really think that the more we have of that, the more knowledge we spread, the better.
Yeah.
Um, and just to, because there's certain things that I mean, you can go to 5 different schools and still not learn everything. Like you need a little bit of everything from everywhere, and all regions are different. That's one of the biggest things I learned from traveling was you have to wrestle differently depending on where you are and what the crowd is like. And if you stay in one spot and don't move somewhere and see that, you'll get to the big time and you won't be ready
Yeah.
because you don't know. See, that's a personal goal. A PWE goal, man, is to get 2 shows a month every month. I want to try to get that before the end of 2025. We got 1 show a month, and we've got sometimes that we got 2 or 3 shows. So that's a business goal, but still wrestling related.
Yeah. Can you describe your wrestling character for someone that has not seen you wrestle before in person?
Very easy. Cowboy. I am a Texas cowboy from Sweetwater, Texas. I come out with a cowbell, which if I had it right now, I'd be ringing it. Big old loud cowbell. I'm a rootin' tootin', just typical cowboy character you can think of. I'm Stan Hansen minus 180 pounds, probably. I get a lot of influence from that. I really like Stan Hansen and old Cowboy Bob Orton. I got the fortunate time to share the ring with Cowboy Bob Orton one time as the Cowboy, and he told me, he said, "Simple sales, brother. Just keep it so simple." And that's what I've done ever since, and even before was just simple, man. So I'm just a simple old cowboy, likes to beat people up.
Can you share a memorable moment from your wrestling career?
Ah, man, I got way too many memories and things to think about, but I'll say one of the coolest ones was going to a monster truck wrestling show. We did wrestling at a monster truck show, and that was the coolest collaboration that I ever have done. And I did it as the cowboy in the middle of Wyoming, and the reaction that I got was amazing. There were 300 plus people there. I mean, I know most of them were there for the monster trucks, but those 300 something people watched us wrestle because they either had to or they were just there.
Yeah.
But the reaction that crowd was, and we didn't have people close to us. The closest people were probably 50, 40, 50 feet away,
Yeah.
and still getting responses and still getting stuff. And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget coming over. We came in a truck, like the back of a flatbed truck, and they were pulling me through. And as soon as I cleared around the corner and saw the crowd, and they saw the cowboy hat, I took it off, and they went nuts. And I had chills, like Rock was on Raw with all the chill bumps. That's what I felt like. It was crazy, man. And I didn't do anything. I went out there and wrestled a 5 minute match and left. Like, but it was still, I'll never forget this. I'll be 70 years old. I'll never forget that.
Yeah. Can you describe the feeling of winning your first championship?
Yeah, this sounds really bad, and the other wrestlers gonna beat me up for it. But I don't remember what title it was. We had 3 or 4 different titles in the promotion I was in, and we honestly used them like props. So the first time I won it, I think it was just a, hey, you're winning the main event. And I was like, what? I think I was 20, maybe 21. And to hold around a belt for a little bit, I got to understand what that means. Yes, people can say it's a prop, say it's a whatever, say it's a thing, but when you hold a belt, you represent that company. Whether you're a bad guy or good guy or a face or a heel or whatever you want to say, you do. And you get looked at differently. And you got to respect that. So even if you don't care about titles and championships like I never cared, you got to respect when you are one because you're representing wrestling. You're not just representing that company. You're a champion of wrestling. So you're representing wrestling. So it's a big responsibility. And I took it that way even young. Like that was pretty cool to walk around with a replica WCW title belt because I think that's what we had. But it still was cool because children, old people, and people that believe in the impossible look at that belt even from a while away and think you are the world champion of TV. And
Yeah.
that believability right there is what we work for. So that was cool, man. Like, so winning a championship is pretty cool.
Let's see. How do you handle the emotional and mental aspects of wrestling?
Oh, it's tough. Work-life balance is a big thing, man. You got to do that with any work job you got, whether it's wrestling or a regular 9 to 5er. Um, you got to get a schedule. That's what
Yeah.
I did. I didn't have that at first, man. I was just taking bookings and going places. And hey, man, I got a booking this Saturday, or somebody called me on Tuesday. I got a booking this Saturday. Like, and I was getting bookings. I was working, every weekend, 2, 3 times a weekend, going all over the place. But when I come home and my wife and my kids and my family are like, well, you ain't never home on the weekends, or we don't ever see you, or all your free time's doing that,
Yeah.
that's when you gotta get a schedule, gotta get a calendar, and you gotta set expectations for the people in your life. That's a big thing too. When you take on the responsibility as a performer, you have to go, hey, I'm going to be a performer. There are certain days I'm going to be gone for hours on end just to do 5 minutes of work. And you have to understand that if you come with me, it's 4 or 5 hours of just sitting around and just waiting for me to do my thing. And then I leave. And then we go home for 2 hours, hour, whatever, like that. It's not a very entertaining lifestyle for the people not in it. So that's a big thing, and I had to do that over a while. So I've done that by communication, by scheduling, by trying to start setting a day aside for family. Man, that's one of the biggest things, and I break it all the time, and I hate it. But Sundays are my family day. I don't do anything work related. I don't do anything wrestling related. I don't watch wrestling on TV. Like I just sit at home. I play video games. I'll just sit with my wife or sit with my kids. Like but it's important. It's very important to have those scheduled things to not go crazy.
Yeah.
I've seen people go crazy all the time.
All right. So we're gonna start my little segment. It's called Trev Shock, which is my little favorite segment I do.
Yeah.
So for people that have not heard of the show, in this segment or the show, it is like Stone Cold Steve Austin's. He does it on his show, or if you're in a board meeting, you have a that's those pop questions they ask you.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So
Right, to
mine
go get
is
my charger.
yeah. So mine is exactly like that. Mine is just ways for people. Well, Technical difficulty. Reconnecting.
Sorry. I tried to get to my
Yep.
charger in time and it didn't work. So it's just a day of technical difficulties.
Yep. Now I just got to figure out which one is you so I can kick the other one out because it
Sorry.
still has your other one still in here. Um,
Oh no.
um, let's see.
See if I can do
We're gonna
something.
go with this. Gonna go this top one.
All right. Duplicate me or something?
Um, it. So did you just go to like the Instagram link and join?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah, that's why. But it works because it's. I don't think it's gonna pick it up.
Okay. Yeah,
All
because I
right,
only
we're
see one of me
gonna.
right now.
Yeah.
All right. I heard your segment. You were talking about your segment and we were going to go.
Okay. All right. So got 50 seconds on the clock. So once I finish the question, it will start recording. I mean,
Sure.
counting down.
Sure.
Um, favorite pre-show snack.
Oh, popcorn all day. That's just
Pre-show.
my thing.
Pre-show song.
Pre-show song, my entrance, Outlaw Justice, Blue Same Hero.
Favorite wrestler growing up.
Uh, Stone Cold Steve Austin or Jeff Hardy, big tie.
Favorite sports team.
Green Bay Packers.
Favorite color.
Uh, Red or purple.
Favorite type of music.
Rock and roll, honestly.
You beat it with 10 seconds to spare.
There we go. Sometimes I ramble.
All right. What is the biggest challenge of being a professional wrestler outside of the ring?
Outside of the ring, getting
Yeah.
yourself out there, man. It's actually gotten easier with social media, but now it's, I wouldn't say easier. It's easier to do. It's not easier to get noticed because now that it's easy to put yourself out there, you're a fish among a school of fishes instead of just a lonely fish out there in the open.
Yeah.
So, yes, you may get picked up, but you're not going to get picked up the same way you did back in the day when you were the only one looking. So, yeah, that's probably the biggest.
Um, how do you feel about the business side of shaping promotion, shaping storylines?
In reference to like how it's going now,
Like how, like you might have a storyline. For example, they have a Manicus and Emily J going on.
yeah, yeah,
Not
yeah,
a Leah Knight, her
yeah.
feud with. How do you feel about like when other promotions bring it in to help that feud grow?
I actually like the cross promotion stuff, so like that's not bad. It's something that I've done with PWE. We've done some feuds that have been other places, and we just do them a little differently. I like it because it gives a. It's kind of like the What If series of Marvel. Like it gives a different
Yeah,
like. All right, well, what if they weren't? This tag team wasn't a tag team, and they just had different stuff. We kind of did that with Cody Fluffman and Sean Legacy. Like they've been tagging for a while, so I was like, okay, absolutely not. They're not going to tag. Like we want to do something different. So yeah, I like it, but then we did Wade and Sean when Wade and Sean have done a bunch of things together all over the place. They just released a thing of them doing it at Dragon Con. So I like it because it lets the performers develop the story more. And
yeah,
that is important because when you need to go, say those people go in front of WWE and do the same thing. Kevin Owens and uh, I want to call him El Generico, but
same thing.
yes, but they got to do that, and the only way that they did that so well in the big stage is because they've done it over and over and over and over, and that's not a bad thing.
Let's see. If you could wrestle any legendary wrestler from the past, who would it be and why?
RVD, hands down RVD. I've always wanted to. I got really close to wrestling Sabu, who is a close second for me. Just because RVD, when I got into wrestling and I started watching wrestling and I wanted to do things, he's
Yeah,
where I got a lot of inspiration from. He was a guy that did something different. I did the Rolling Thunder so many times, and I'd get in the ring and try to figure out. And I'm 6'4", so I have to try to figure out how to compact my body to roll like that. And I just gave up eventually because it didn't look as pretty as his. But I like the fact that he was an innovator. He would just grab a chair and go put somewhere. Like him and Sabu would just do whatever, and they weren't always hardcore with it. They were just using it as props and being fun with it. So yeah, I would love to do something with him. I think that would be fun.
yeah. Let's see. If you could attend a training session with any wrestler, who would you pick?
I could learn from anyone.
Like, for
Right.
example, I heard Triple H because his mindset behind WWE.
So Triple H definitely is one that I would love to pick their brain. That man knows a lot. He's absorbed a lot of information over the years. So that's definitely a thing. But I don't know. I don't know if it would be him or if it was. I got to ask this question: who would be the indie guy that I would talk to or work with, whatever? And like Matt Cardona is one that I would love to just talk to, um, just to see what he's learned from both sides of the coin.
Yeah,
Whereas Triple H, yeah, he worked on the Indies before and he's paid attention to it, obviously, but the man's not out there working it like Cordona is. So, I'm curious to pick people's brains like that. So those are the seminars that I would learn from. And I've told people that before. Sometimes you go to a seminar and you don't have to learn the physical stuff. Sometimes you learn the mental stuff, and that's worth the money itself.
yeah. Um, if you could have a legendary wrestler as your mentor, who would you choose?
Just because I've heard so much stuff about him and I would love it is Michael P.S. Hayes. I would love to just like, please tell me how to do that. Like, he's coached so many good people over the years and given some cool ideas. I would love to just like be able to call Michael P.S. Hayes up. That'd be cool.
Let's see, where are we
I got to meet Terry Bam Bam Gordy of the Freebirds. He was one of the first famous wrestlers I ever met growing up. Man taught me how
at?
to do a working punch. It's pretty cool.
What are the? Okay, we already answered that segment. Same one I just pulled back up. All right, so I have a WWE 2K Universe showcase called the Shock Universe. It's basically like any promotion. You got a set of titles. So we have a World, a Tag, a Mid Card, a Cruiserweight, and then someone introduced it a BMF title, like how they had it in the UFC.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, which title would you want to go for?
Hmm. I had a really fun run with doing tag titles, and I would like to do that again one day. So I would say tag titles. I got a couple tag partners I could pick, but I would love to do that. Tag team wrestling is something that it just doesn't get used enough. So yeah, I say
Yeah.
that. I've done enough singles runs. I don't want to do that no more.
Let's see. Next. What is your opinion on the wrestling crossover events with other sports and entertainment industries?
I think it is not done enough. I think that is one of the things that WWE jumped on really, really early was cross promotion with other sports and entertainment industries. That's why they do celebrities. That's why they do other sport casters. It's a very, very, very smart decision and smart idea because it gives legitimacy to wrestling. A lot of people will just throw it off to the side, but when you bring people over from stuff like that, it's really, really smart, really, really nice to do. Just because it just helps everybody, really.
Yeah. What advice would you give to a person that is wanting to be a wrestler?
Do your research before you start training. Finding the right places and right places to go. That's a big one. But also do your research on what kind of wrestler you want to be
Yeah.
and what kind of wrestler you can be, because those are two different things sometimes. Um, that is a harsh reality that a lot of places do not tell you. Yes, everyone could probably learn how to be a wrestler, but not everyone is John Cena. Not everyone is Brock Lesnar. Not everyone is Bray Wyatt. You have to find out what kind of wrestler you are before you go to try to be that. Because if you go and try to live your life and try to be Brock Lesnar and you're 4 foot something and not enough weight on you, you're never going to be that way and you're going to be disappointed. And if you're a big
Yeah.
guy, a really, really big guy, you're never going to be a skinny guy that can do backflips. I'm sorry. You may get all the surgery and do all the things, but use that big guy. Like, realize that's what kind of person you are and embrace it. That's the biggest advice I could give is embrace what you can be. Not what you are right now, but what you can be. Because that's a big thing. You can be almost anything in this business. It's really cool. Never thought I'd be a cowboy, to be completely honest.
Can you talk about a significant feud you had and how it helped you grow as a wrestler?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I wrestled a guy out in Colorado Springs named Jimbo Lucas. He was a Hard Knocks Jimbo Lucas. He was a real big fan favorite in Colorado Springs, and never met him before. I've been out in Colorado Springs for about a year or so now, and I was a big middleweight heel champ. And they said you're going to go against this guy named Jimbo Lucas. I never wrestled him before. He was probably 20 years older than me and chiseled. I mean, this guy was jacked, and we wrestled back and forth probably 6 or 7 times. We did a kendo six match. We did a what we called chairly legal, where the only weapon that was legal was chairs, and we had about 10 of them. We did, I mean, all kinds of stuff in this little old bar down in Colorado Springs, and I will tell you, those people came out in droves just watch that man kick my butt. Like they really did. But it really taught me I got to embrace being the heel cowboy and got to embrace being like going against somebody that really had a following. Like that guy brought people in, and it was cool because I hadn't had anything like that before. I'd had little feuds and little things, but this was like 6 or 7 shows over like a 6 to 8 month period.
Um, what was it like working with a particular wrestler that you clicked with in the ring?
Um, so I had a guy that was really, really, really good with me. for years and years and years, and we could still get in the ring probably to this day. He's since retired. His name's Kevin Kurgan. He was on the first couple of PWE shows. And when you click with somebody like that, when they know you, they know your timing, they know what you're doing, it's super important, man. We tagged
Yeah,
together, we fought each other. Like, you can do anything at that point. If you can get that stuff right, you can do anything. You just be like, hey, this is my buddy. Me and him know how to do stuff together. That doesn't mean tag, that doesn't mean fight, that means all of it. We know how to do stuff together. You tell us what the story you want us to do, we can tell it. And that's important. That's really cool. You get you a handful of them, you can go anywhere.
yeah. What brings you joy outside of the ring?
Being a father brings me the joy of anything. I've been a father almost as long as I've been a wrestler, not yet, and probably won't be. That'll never catch up, hopefully, unless I stop wrestling. But I've been a father for over 17 years, or about 17 years now, and it's the best gift. It's the best job. I get to see my kid do the job I used to do when I was a kid and run sound and production and do it better than me. Like do it way better than me. Um, it's just that's important. That's joyful right there, man. Seeing my kids develop and become their own people is probably the best joy I've ever had.
Yeah. Um, what is your favorite gear that you have ever gotten made?
Favorite gear is probably my cowboy tights. I got those made on the whim before I was a cowboy, so that was pretty cool. And I've had them for almost 10 years now. They were I don't like tights, man. Long story. I was never a tights guy. I was a board shorts guy. I did like the other trunks and stuff, but I never liked tights. And I got more bookings in tights than I ever got in trunks. So I had to do what I had to do.
Yeah. Um, and then where can I find you on social media?
At Cowboy James Hunter, that's me. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. You can find PWE at Phoenix Wrestling Experience. That's where I'm pretty much at every month. Second Thursday of the month, we're down at Savannah River Brewing Company in Augusta, Georgia. We got two shows coming up, one February 13th at the brewery and one on February 20th at SRP Park in North Augusta, South Carolina. It's the first time wrestling has ever been at the home of the Green Jackets, big baseball stadium. So that's where I am. You can come find me there anytime. And all around Augusta, I was out in the snow today. So yeah, out here promoting and trying to get butts and seats, as they say.
Yeah. And then the outro. And then thank you, James, for being on the podcast.
Of course, man.
And then a thank you to the sponsors, which you guys can check me out at these shows. ACCW, um, Wrestling Evolution, and what's trying to think about it. Oh, TBD.
Cool.
Maybe soon Phoenix Wrestling, but talk that one down the road.
There you go. Always in steps, man. We're not going nowhere.
Right. And then guys, we have in the t-shirt contest. I had a professional guy make 5 designs. People that have been on the show, there's a separate contest for you guys if you want to enter. And then there's ones just for the fans, same thing. It's winners are going to be chosen randomly, so it's not rigged or anything.
There you go.
Yep. All right. And then thanks for being on the podcast.
Appreciate it, man. Anytime.
And then see you guys next time.